And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this hump day, January 7th, 2026. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. And I'll tell you what, for this time of the year, it is a mild day out there with temperatures currently in the mid to upper 30s across the entire area. It does not feel like early January. This is more indicative of early March temperatures, not early January. So we're being spoiled a little bit by Mother Nature, but don't get used to it. You know, the coin has to flip and the other shoe has to drop eventually. And we do see that as we head into next week. So, Bridgette, I don't know. Are you a fan of the warmer weather or not so much?
I mean, I think this happens pretty much every year. Now, generally, I think we see it more in February where we get a bit of a warm up. What is nice is that snow on the top is going to get soft and then refreeze. So with any luck, that prevents a lot of the blowing and drifting we get in high wind situations. Because again, not a fan of ice. This is just for me. I like to be able to travel. I don't care if it's cold when I travel, but I don't want to have to deal with ice. So that's what matters in my world.
And Addison, you want to pipe in there or no? Or not? No.
I wish it was snowing. I wish it was colder. You know what? I don't want it to be better outside. I want it to be worse.
Okay. So
That's only because the room that he's in is always 1,000 degrees.
I want dense fog and icy roads and 3 feet of snow.
Boy, you're asking for quite a bit, aren't you?
Just asking for a normal North Dakota Christmas.
Santa's bringing you coal next year.
Yeah, right. No kidding. No kidding. Well, we do have a little bit of snow in the forecast, but I'll tell you what, nothing in the short term. We're looking at quite a bit of sunshine, some high clouds mixed in today. We're going to approach 40 degrees. We're 37 right now. We'll probably rise up a couple more degrees, and then we'll call it good with those winds out of the southwest on the light side. Now, we'll see a cold front swing through as we head towards tomorrow morning. That will switch our winds out of the west. We'll drop down to a low in the low 20s tonight, and tomorrow we'll have a little bit of a breeze out of the northwest at about 5 to 15, and highs tomorrow right around 30, which is still well above normal. And then Friday we'll cool things back down into the 20s, if you want to call it cooling down. Again, our normal highs should be in the teens, so we're still above normal. Clouds come back on Friday. A clipper system comes our way Friday night into Saturday morning. That will bring us some snow showers and wind. Might pick up about a half inch of snow out of that with 30-mile-an-hour winds, so could see some slippery travel Saturday morning. And then we rebound into the 20s on Sunday and back into the low 30s to start off next week. But if you want to check out our website, WDAYradionow.com, and I've got an article up there showing that mid-month onward, the Arctic air returns. We're not looking at any record-breaking Arctic air, but a return to normal, to even below normal temperatures from mid-month, and it'll probably last through the end of the month. I don't see any big storms. A lot of times you'll get a bigger storm system to usher in that Arctic air. We'll have numerous clipper systems as the Arctic air comes in, but I don't see anything in terms of a big organized storm for the rest of the month. So if you're a snow lover, that's not great news. According to the LRC, though, the month of February is going to turn stormier. That will more than likely be our snowiest month this year. And as we turn the corner into March, it looks like we do warm up pretty quickly as well. So if you're a snow lover, let's hope as we turn the corner into February, things start to change a little bit.
And I think what's interesting for those who are concerned about the quality of ice for ice fishing, etc., I had a conversation this morning with an angler up at the Devil's Lake area who really loves to fish and has years of experience here. He said, even though we're going to have this warm up, if we can still continue to have our cold nights, we'll probably still build a quarter inch of ice a day.
Okay. How thick is the ice up there? Did he say, Bridgette?
17 inches right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and for folks that have some of these bigger houses, that's a go. It's probably more comfortable if you're at a 20-inch. And then let's remember that safety. You don't all have to park next to each other. Spread it out. Put your ice cleats on. Don't fall down and hit your head.
Exactly.
There, your mom gave her update for the day. So as beautiful as it is here at the Coral Laundromat studio today, We appreciate the fact that weather is brought to us by the Progressive Ag Group. They are our risk management specialists. Today is Wednesday Weather Trivia. We also have to make sure that we do a Vegas qualifier. So we got a lot going on today.
Busy
that
day.
Means if you haven't done it already, you should program into your phone our JLA insurance phone line right here to the Coral Laundromat studio at WDAY. That number is 701-293-9000. With changes coming in our crop insurance for 2026, this is a great time to get in touch with Nate Thorsrud. He's a farmer too. And the sign-up period will end March 16th. So you're going to want to make sure that you are prepared by talking to Nate early on. Thank you to Lighthouse Commodities. They make sure the light is on, so to speak, with our live streams. They make sure that you can see us on Facebook, YouTube, Acres TV, which is wildly helpful when we have a plethora of guests that want to show, demonstrate, and just to get in touch with who they are. So thank you to Lighthouse Commodities. Meanwhile, if you have a question and you didn't call us on the JLA insurance phone line because you're shy, you can use our email inboxes, which are powered by Superior Grain Equipment. They bring you superior grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. And our email addresses, ag@flagfamily.com or weather@flagfamily.com. Dean, before we get to our guest today, and we will be joined in our show today by Sarah Metzler. She's the Senior Director of Organizational Communications at the Cattlemen's Beef Board. Should we run a contest? We got to get a Vegas qualifier. And again, that qualifier is someone who registered on our website, WDAYradionow.com. We choose a name to have them call us within 11 minutes. And when they do, they are qualified for the giveaway, which will be February 2nd at Kingpins. And that is to take folks to Vegas. You get airfare for two, hotel, tickets to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, and $500 in spending money. That's brought to us by Alsager Meats and Kingpins.
What a great trip. Yeah.
It seems to be pretty quality.
No doubt. And today's qualifier is Jody Whitty of Fargo. Jody, you have 11 minutes to give us a call, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. Again, today's qualifier is Jody Whitty of Fargo. If you know Jody, make sure you let her know, hey, you got 11 minutes to call if you want to qualify. And again, that's for that trip to Vegas and, for you and a guest. So it's a pretty good deal.
I would like Jody to break Krista's record yesterday, our qualifier yesterday. She, I think, called us in under a minute.
That was
Jody,
quick.
The pressure's on. You got 11. Less now, but you need to give us a call. The JLA insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Love to hear from you.
And once again, Jody Whitty of Fargo, you are our potential qualifier here. If you give us a call, your name goes in the hat, and then we'll draw that early next month out at Kingpins. So that's a great trip out to Vegas. I know I know a few people that have seen the Wizard of Oz, and it's supposed to be just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I think that it's worth everyone's time. There's no doubt about that, because all you got to do is go to our website and drop your name, and then you get to come to Kingpins for the giveaway party. And the chances that, because it's a limited amount of qualifiers, the chances that you win is pretty high. I mean, we're giving away qualifications every show on this station, but not everybody calls in to get qualified in time. So your chances go up. Some of you are rooting against Jody Whitty, but we are rooting for Jody Whitty to get in on time. That's the truth.
Good point.
All right. I had a listener request that we're going to have to get to at some point today, hopefully, or else tomorrow. And that was for us to talk about the new USDA dietary guidelines that came out. Dean, I'll forward to these to you when we are listening to the American Ag Network's livestock reports. You have a chance to look those over. And then hopefully we get a chance to do those after we have visited with our guest today. And we'll get to that tomorrow.
Perfect. And I think we might have Jody on the line on line one.
2 for 2?
Is this Jody?
It sure is.
Congrats, Jody. All right.
Oh, I'm excited. I've never heard my name so many times on the radio.
We want to make sure you heard it.
Yeah. So thank you.
So tell how easy it is to qualify for this wonderful trip to Vegas.
Extremely. It makes your winter. It's something to look forward to.
Awesome. So you just went on our website and registered on WDAYradionow.com, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, and it's easy as that. Now, Jody, do you have do you have somebody that you're going to be taking with? Because it is good for you and a guest.
Yes, I was thinking about if I won giving it to my daughter and her boyfriend,
Oh my.
but
We
I've
won't
had
tell.
different complaints in my household that's
So
Makes
you
sense.
might
Yeah.
you might end up going instead. Okay.
yeah.
You know what, Jody? I've got an idea for you. All you need to do is bring everybody that might go with you to Kingpins on February 2nd. So if you win, you can then do your own drawing and draw a name out of a hat and decide who's going with you.
Oh, I like that. Nice. Very
All right.
good.
Let's maximize the fun. All right. We're pulling for you, Jody. Thanks for calling us.
Okay.
Congrats,
thank you
Jody,
so
and
much.
thanks for listening and registering.
Bye.
All righty. So, well, good deal. That's we're 2 for 2 here over the last couple of days. So that's it. Now she didn't get in as quick as yesterday as Krista, but I mean, heck, that's still
She did
pretty good.
good.
That's still pretty good.
Yes.
So,
All right. Up next, our guest. We will have a chance to visit with Sarah Metzler. Again, she's with the Cattlemen's Beef Board. So let's get to that after the market update for livestock from the American Ag Network. Well, for those of you who were thinking about talking to Chris Sherman at Tech Support Farm, you can catch him and ask your questions directly at the NDSU Extension Lake Region Roundup, which is in Devil's Lake, today and tomorrow. Swing by. Chris has got a booth there. In fact, I'll see Chris when I get there tomorrow. I will also be speaking. I'm on a panel that we're doing with a number of farmers, and we're going to talk about farm stress and mental health. And that panel will include David Sears, who farms at Minnewacan, Teresa Gilly, who farms in Lancaster, Minnesota, and Ty Hagelin, who is the CEO of Prairie St. John from Fargo, but he's from that Devil's Lake, Maddock region. So looking forward to visiting with those folks and sharing what we know. And most importantly, Chris Sherman will be there with Tech Support Farm. If you miss him, go to techsupport.farm. Dina, our guest today is a lady that I met while I was at the South Dakota Cattlemen Association's annual meeting down in Deadwood. And that would be Sarah Metzler. And she was so well spoken and just shared such a great message. I couldn't wait to bring her to radio. So, hi, Sarah.
Hey, how are you? Hi, Dean. How are you today?
Good, Sarah. How you doing today?
Oh, it's beautiful weather here. It's in the 60s in Denver, but we're supposed to get hit with snow finally.
Right.
My folks out in eastern Colorado are really looking forward to some moisture, so that'll be good for us here, I think.
It has been a dry winter for you guys, and out around the Denver area, no doubt, no doubt.
Yes,
She says
absolutely.
finally. Well,
Yeah.
other people are like, really?
Please. I think Denver's had one dusting of snow, which is just wild to me. I mean, I'm a country girl at heart. I'm my father's city daughter, so to speak. And so just having the opportunity to have a really good snow would be okay with me. I can't wear any of my winter clothes. I'm wearing everything from the fall. It doesn't work.
Well,
that way.
even the ski resorts are hurting. I saw Steamboat was only, I think, 30 or 40% of normal. I mean, it's just the whole area. It's they're hurting.
Yeah, a friend of mine went up to Steamboat and they could only ski the top, and then they had to be gondoled back down the mountain. Like they couldn't even ski the middle part because it was so rocky. So I think they're finally getting some snow. So if you are a skier and are coming to Colorado, I think they are getting some now, but it's been rough for them. Yeah.
Well, all right. So, Sarah, I wanted to ask you to come on because there, especially as of late, there's been a lot of angst about checkoff programs and commodities. And I know that you specialize in beef, but you have such a wealth of knowledge. Could we just start with a little history lesson? Could we talk about how the checkoff originated and what it does for some of our listeners? And then we can get into some more specific questions.
Sure. I think maybe the beginning is what the word checkoff started as, and that really was all the way back to like the 20s and 30s when there were truckloads of cattle or hogs that were coming through railways, and they could literally check off in their inventory that they wanted to voluntarily add a few cents to their load in order to promote and to research beef. So they've been around for a long, long time, just not formalized with the U.S. government until much later. And certainly the beef checkoff is not the first one. In fact, one of the trivia questions I like to ask is, number one, how many checkoff programs are there in the country? And currently there are 24. So we are one of those. And they go from everything from cotton, which was the very first checkoff, to Christmas trees, strawberries, avocados, of course, pork, beef, eggs. We have concrete. There's just an enormous amount of that.
Oh, and that makes utter sense. I mean, we wanted to use these funds for very specific reasons, and there's so many commodities we couldn't do it under just one umbrella, if you will. So
Sure.
With those dollars, let's talk in relation to beef, because that's what you know best, right? So
Sure.
With beef, how does that work? Dollars are collected every time a head of beef are sold, whether it's male, female, whatever, no matter where they're going. And then how does that money get used, or I should say dispersed? Where does it go from there?
Sure. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, when the
Yeah.
cattle producers who came together over the 60s and 70s to put this program together for beef. Now, each commodity is a little bit different, but for beef specifically, they wanted it to be easy. So that's why it's $1 for beef per head. But pork and hogs are a slightly different piece. There are also plenty of for instance, equations that can be used to generate how much a commodity can be charged. So let's say with beef, it's very simple. It's $1. Those dollars are collected by the state beef councils. So North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all of them uh, gather those dollars, and then the state keeps 50 cents of that dollar to use in their state so that they can do promotion, research, education with their own producer board, their state beef council, in order to do those programs locally. Then the other 50 cents comes to our Cattlemen's Beef Board office here in Denver, which I want to point out is not the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. That is a separate organization. So that 50 cents comes to us. And there's a series of vetting processes. It starts with a certified contracting organization. So if you are an organization out in the countryside that have three things, are a 501c3, have national representation of the beef industry on your board, and have been around for 2 years or longer, you can apply for checkoff dollars. So those checkoff dollars are given out based basically like a granting process. We call them
Sure.
authorization requests. Those come in, they're reviewed by producer committees, ultimately go all the way up and are implemented beginning in October of every year. So I know that's a lot in a little bit of time, but that's the beginning of it.
But that's okay. I like the beginning and I like some of the questions that we're going to be able to ask from that after we return from our news. Also, one of our listeners just texted me and she said, "Oh, this makes utter sense. Get it? We're talking about cows." So,
Love
uh,
it.
all right. So, Sarah, we've got more questions for you. Stay tuned after the news. You can call us on the JLA insurance phone line if you have questions, or you can just send them to me as an email, ag@flagfamily.com. My inbox is sponsored by Superior Grain Equipment. And we are excited to be talking about beef. I'll be honest. Beef and booze have long been some of our favorite conversations here on Weather and Ag in Focus. Usually we're talking about barley, brewing, distillers' grains, but today we get to talk about the complement with that booze, and that's the beef on the table. We have with us Sarah Metzler. She's the Senior Director of Organizational Communications for the Cattlemen's Beef Board. We've been talking about the checkoff. Sarah, I heard you say that contractors are vetted and used to spend the money that comes in from the checkoff. Who are some of those contractors? Can you give us a little bit of insight into what that might look like?
Sure, they vary every year, as you can imagine. But for the most part, we've had anywhere between 8 and 10 that are recurring contractors with us. So, of course, our largest contractor is the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. People often think that's where the checkoff lives, but we're actually separate. We're in our own board over here. The U.S. Meat Export Federation is another organization that we work with to ship U.S. beef all over the world. We work with the American Farm Bureau. We work with the U.S. Cattlemen's Association. They do some great work for us. We work with the Meat Foundation, where they do safety research for us. We also work with the Meat Institute. They do some veal promotion for us in the Northeast. We've also had a long-time relationship with the National Institute for Animal Agriculture, and they do a lot around antibiotic use and standing up for ag in the use of that. So those are just a handful of them, but we're really proud of the work they do and are constantly excited to have new contracting organizations come apply for funds and do work in the 3 areas that the checkoff can be used in, which is promotion, research, and education.
And Sarah, I've got an email question. It's a 2-part question from one of our listeners asking, what makes our beef here in the U.S. stand out compared to overseas? And when you are grocery shopping, when you are grocery shopping, how can we tell if the beef is imported or if it was from here in the U.S.?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so the U.S. arguably grows the best beef in the world.
Yay!
I'm from a large cattlemen's or cattle family, so I may be a little biased here, but I believe that is true. And that is why U.S. beef is so desired across the world. I don't know that producers always understand that the people in Japan and Korea and China are very discerning about what they eat, to the point where they may have just a little piece of U.S. beef on their plate, but it is the most high quality, delicious product, and they seek out U.S. beef because of course, that fat content, likely in terms of being grain finished, that we often have. But we also have really amazing, not only genetics, but all types of different feed programs and things that have just evolved over the generations to make our beef just better and better. In terms of going to the grocery store, it really varies in where you are, and I think I know where this question is coming from, because it has to do with labeling, likely around labeling.
Right.
And
Sure.
I assume so, right? So it's important to note that while I personally, Sarah Metzler, believes that we should label our beef accordingly, that is not something that checkoff can do, which I know sounds counterintuitive, that we have this large fountain of checkoff dollars and we don't are not allowed to lobby or to do anything political in terms of labeling that beef. But we do work with those entities that already have labels. I'll give you a quick example. Kentucky, the state of Kentucky. If you go into their grocery store, you can walk right up to the beef case, and right there it says product of Kentucky. I often bring that to light in other states because it would be great to have it in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, all of
Hmm.
the beef states to be able to walk in. You can do that. It's on a state by state level. On a national level, it gets complicated. There certainly are ways to tell in labeling where it has been imported. But for the most part, we only import things that go into the grind. Otherwise, they're typically labeled as such. They're typically a specific company bringing in Wagyu or Kobe or some of those very specific breeds and types of beef that would say, product of Korea, product of Japan. Um, Typically, Australia, they're very grass fed heavy in Australia. So
Hmm.
we bring a lot of their beef in to mix in with our grind because we don't grow as much grass finished here in the US. So it's not an easy question, but there
Right.
are answers. They're just not easy answers.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
When we look at what happens with the checkoff, there's so much promotion that goes with it, which has been a fantastic return on investment. Beef gets like $13 back for every dollar spent. There's a reason why all of you remember beef. It's what's for dinner. What are some of the other things that the checkoff dollars really stand out for? If you could do that, Sarah.
Sure. I think we cannot set aside the importance of having a safe product. And
Hmm.
the checkoff really focuses heavily in the world of safety. I know when I was growing up in the late 70s and 80s, there were a lot of recalls in beef. I remember them on the news. I remember them in fast food restaurants like Jack in the Box and some of those places where whole entities would have to be shut down because of E. coli or salmonella. You don't hear that as much in the United States anymore. And that's because of a lot of work the checkoff has put in over the years in order to have different things that happen right at the point of harvest with these carcasses and with these animals. Everything from certain rinses that are immediately put on these so that if there's anything in that harvesting process, all the way down into how they're stored and such. So promotion is enormous and of course important, and we can spend a whole 2 hours talking about promotion. When we have
Yes.
a safe product, people buy it. They don't even think about being worried about it. And that, I believe, is why demand for beef in the US is at an all-time high. That's a major contributor.
That's huge. We're at an all-time high. And I know there's the whole argument about grass-fed, corn finished, and whether you're conventional and whatever else you want to talk about and what the corn is that you feed them. But the reality is, eat beef, because we just got the new USDA guidelines out for nutrition today, and they emphasize protein every single day. And beef can be the center place on that plate. I'm not dissing pork or chicken or anybody else, but I came from a cattle operation too. Beef is wonderful.
Yes. We're very pleased with the dietary guidelines. It's interesting to note that the checkoff actually goes in front of those committees and stands up for beef for several years. The dietary guideline process starts years in advance, and we have a team of highly trained doctors and nutritionists that belong to our staff at the beef checkoff that go on in front of these different committees that help outline the dietary guidelines. So of course, we're very excited here in the beef industry today that those came out, and we had an inkling that they might lean that direction, as did all of us, I think. But to actually see it in print is so refreshing to have that. I don't know if you've seen the infographic, but it actually has a steak in the infographic that'll be hung in schools. And I'm like, yay, it's right there. Beef is right there. It's very exciting. So.
I would be excited too, because that lands you in a perfectly prominent spot that's outstanding. And
Yeah.
Sarah, I know there are so many aspects, positive aspects of the checkoff that we can talk about. We probably won't get to cover them each today. I mean, even right down to the state level with what we get with the North Dakota Beef Commission. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to at least start the conversation. Don't be surprised if I have to call you again for more info.
I would love it. Of course, we're here. That's what our job is to tell producers what we're doing with their money. They're welcome to call us. And of course, I'll come back, Dean and Bridgette, anytime.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And hey, hopefully you guys get some much needed moisture out there. Right.
Please.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, speaking of moisture, we don't have a whole lot in our forecast in terms of snow, but there is a little bit in the forecast. We'll run down the cooler details that are coming up, along with our slight chance of snow. All of that and more after the break. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. And we're in our last segment here, 1:51 in the afternoon. Temperatures outside in the mid to upper 30s across the area, unseasonably mild. for this time of the year. And it is Weather Trivia Wednesday. Time for your chance to win one of our Darter plastic rain gauges. And today's question is, all right, so the all-time record low for Fargo is tomorrow. 48 below we hit back in 1887. I can't even imagine. I hope there was no wind with that. But what is the all-time record low for the state? What's the coldest temperature that we've seen here in the state? 701-293-9000.
That's the JLA Insurance phone line. This contest is brought to us by Darter Plastic. We have been giving away our winter rain or our rain gauges that can not only work in the winter for snowfall, but rain in the spring. And we've also got the bait ups, the personal minnow keeper for you ice fishermen or even summer fishing. So we can go with a bait up and change things up a little bit today.
All right, Bridgette. So we got Kevin on line one. Kevin, what is your guess for today's weather trivia?
51 below.
That is not correct. Kevin, thanks for trying, though. Caller, line two, what's your name?
This is Dennis.
Dennis, what is your guess for today's weather trivia question?
60 below.
You are correct. And do you know where it was?
It was impartial.
You are correct. Now, did you have to Google that, or did you already know it off the top of your head?
Well, I heard somebody say it earlier today.
Gotcha.
Talking about it.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thanks for listening. That's great. All right. Well, we're going to put you on hold, and Addison, our wonderful producer, he will gather the information you need. You know where our studios are at, correct?
Yes.
All right. We'll get all your information, then just swing by the studio to pick up your prize.
Okay.
All right. You have a great one.
You too.
All right. So, 60 below in Partial, which is just south of Minot. And, boy, again, hopefully there was no wind on that day.
I hope not. And I don't remember what year it was, but I know I've heard this question before about it being so cold. And I knew it was partial. I just didn't remember the actual temperature that it was. And that's brisk, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And even the 48 below, the all-time record low in Fargo back in 1887, I mean, wow. The snowpack had to be immense because you're not going to get that cold with – you've got to have a thick snowpack. And just thinking of how things were back then, obviously, you know, the housing was different and just that just had to be absolutely brutal. And
I'd say there were a lot of folks who were not left to talk about it after that. That was pretty rough.
Right. We were doing some more, and in our, let's just say our lifetime, the coldest we've had was back in 96, February 1st, 96, where Fargo hit 39 below. Even that, I mean, that's brutal just thinking about that. That's where you just walk outside and it just hurts to breathe. You just don't want to be out.
I was still in college then, and I distinctly remember you wore a lot of layers to walk across campus. We had some distances to travel. We weren't always able to duck into all the buildings or use, the overhead walkways and stuff to get to places. It was brisk.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Well, the new dietary guidelines came out from USDA today, and I had a request from a listener to maybe give a little discussion to them. So I printed them out. And here's really the highlights to think about. Eat the right amount of food for you. Portion control. Prioritizing protein foods every day. Consuming dairy. Eating vegetables and fruit throughout the day, really focusing on whole fruits and vegetables, not just, and by that they want to talk about not necessarily processed variations of it. So have an apple instead of applesauce, perhaps. Incorporating healthy fats, focusing on whole grains, limiting highly processed foods, added sugars, or refined carbohydrates, limiting your alcohol content.
Whoa, what? Whoa.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Did any one of these not sound like common sense?
They all are, yeah.
They all are.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know why we're doing the whole, let's get excited, there's these new guidelines. This is stuff we should have been doing. Now, I will be the first one to say, I don't do this every day. I mean, I have some homemade caramel from our friends out in the kitchen. You don't think I had one of those at lunch today?
I hope so.
Yes, I did. But I know that it's also 34 degrees outside, and I could take a walk and maybe help myself out a little bit to get rid of that. So I wasn't overly surprised at any of the guidelines. Again, I think many of them, if we've paid any attention, are simply common sense ideas. I did look at the special populations and considerations, and when they talked about infancy and early childhood, it said as far as infants, for the first 6 months of life, make sure you're using breast milk, which people will do unless there is a special consideration where that child cannot consume it, because that does happen, where you've got to make some different choices. And then this just struck me. Consider breastfeeding as long as mutually desirable by mother and child for 2 years or beyond.
2 years?
If that kid can walk up and like talk to me about it, this is a personal opinion. I will tell you right now, there are some mothers out there that this worked for them, and that's awesome. But personally speaking, I'm like, hold the phone. They're going to preschool. But I get it that it's a great recommendation if that's what you can do and want to. This is just purely my opinion. At 2 years old, I'm like, no, I wouldn't quite go that far. But that's just one of the things that stood out to me. Otherwise, again, eat whole grains. Yep, that's probably a good idea. Prioritize that protein. Don't just have 3 ounces. Your serving goals should be 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I'm going to have to do some math to solve that problem, but there are ways to look at what the adjustments should be. Consuming dairy. I love that. Have full-fat dairy without added sugars, because dairy is a source of not only proteins, but also healthy fats. So you're accomplishing like 3 different things in this guideline: vitamins and minerals. You should have 3 servings a day. So let's go back to drinking milk. Have a slab of cheese. How about some cottage cheese? I hear cottage cheese in your scrambled eggs is fantastic.
Ooh.
Why not? Yeah, mix them in. So I don't think there's anything surprising in the guidelines, and I'm glad to see some common sense is in them, as Sarah mentioned when she was our guest today.
All right. Well, that'll do it for Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.